Hey, it's Coach Ariel Anderson. It's Coach Ariel Anderson, and I promised you it's a holiday Yule live story time. So here we are. My family's downstairs. We just opened up some presents a little bit because it is Swedish and Czech Christmas, and we celebrate that. So here we are, the closest I can come to a fire. And cliche, I know, but we have to just go for it. And something warm. And I was thinking, okay, it's applesauce, but I was thinking of the term, the proof is in the pudding today. And what does that make you think of? So if you're new here, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. We're here every Friday at 10 o'clock for a live Q&A, midlife pregnancy and fertility, and videos which come out very infrequently, but maybe more in the future. And if you're returning, then welcome back. If this is your first time having a child or moving towards having a child, or you're doing it again, you're doing it alone or with a partner, these are stories today for you, and they are connected to an announcement which I will have the next week. All right, so let's just get started. I'm gonna take a bite. Mm, so good, a little bit warm. So I think of the proof isn't in pudding, and in some countries, pudding is dessert. So this kind of fits. The proof is in the pudding, I said, because I think so often, I don't know about you, but I only need one story, one story to remind me that uh, it's going to work out, you know? And so I just want to say thank you to the women who have forged the way before us. And I had this book, well, it's actually The Snow Queen, but it made me think. Hans Christian Andersen, of course, had a different idea, but I was thinking, so often the angry women are women in pain. And I think about how, sorry, I want to do something here. I was thinking, I wonder if I'm allowed to have this music on at all. You know what? It's already on. Doesn't matter. So I just needed a couple of stories, one story, maybe more stories, to remind me of what's possible. And that's why I started the whole YouTube channel, basically, was to tell stories and share. Maybe advice isn't the word I want to use. I want to say share knowledge, because I think that's what we do in this world. Women, we talk story, as they say in Hawaii. We share stories. Women in my mom's side, the culture, the Armenian culture, when they would be in Turkey, the women would gather in the kitchen and they would share their stories. And it was so powerful. There was a woman, oh gosh, I can't remember. I remember a woman, one of my clients gave me a book, and she had written called Kitchen Table Wisdom, and it makes me think of this. So I'll have to look for it and maybe put it in the links if I remember. If not, then ask me. It's so powerful. So here we are. Okay, so I did promise you, and at the same time, I want to, keep things short because it's holidays, and wherever you are in the world, you might be deep in your holiday time, and so, and I know that it's the 24th. So, and in some places the 25th already. So I will keep this short and sweet. I just wanted to do a teaser. So let's say I'm going to remember back to one of the women that inspired me, and I've kind of briefly mentioned, but didn't get too deep into. Let's call her T. And so many, many years ago, I was in my 20s, so I didn't really need inspiring. I wasn't at all looking to get pregnant or have babies at all. In fact, I was very clear I wanted to wait. I ran into some ex-boyfriends not long ago who said, like, I never thought you wanted to have a child. And I think that was never the case. I always knew I would have a girl, right? You've heard me say that before. Yet I wanted to live my life. There were things I really wanted to do. Now, that may or may not be your story, but I was so passionate. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to uh, do things that were in my heart and mind. I wanted to accomplish something that's very, American kind of. I want to accomplish something, but I did. I really did, and I think maybe also that I had seen my own mother, let go of a lot of her passions inside of motherhood, and I I had it in my head that you had to choose. And so I chose myself first. And I think that's one of the things in midlife pregnancy, whether you chose it or not, you've gotten the chance to live a bit, and uh, and that's important. So I just want to say to you that there's a reason for everything. This knowledge that you have inside of you right now is there for a purpose. So coming back to T was a mentor of mine and lived powerfully. And I know that that's one of those things that over time, even when you've been brave and done things, beyond your limits, that over time and enough losses and life experiences, emotions, breakdown of things, connections inside your own self. Usually, I think that it's that connection to something higher, something within, uh, that really is the true breakdown. And then there's the trust gets broken, and the braveness maybe is a little bit quieter. And I tell this story also because this woman is also going through a challenge right now. And I want to remind her, if she's out there, if there's one of these days she comes here, and to you, for you, that things change, and but to remember those powerful moments in your life. And this woman is an incredibly powerful manifester. And even when you've done that, you can be stuck, but you have to come back into that space of when you were able to do that, when you were really thriving. And if there hasn't been a time, then finding that future space that is already yours, if that makes any sense. Yes, it's a little bit of law of attraction, but it's we all have powerful moments. And so it's connecting into those moments. That's how you're going to really get pregnant. That's where it is. That's one of those jewels right there. So she was single, and she knew that she wanted to have a family. And I remember thinking, like I was told, that she was going to be eternally single, not because she wasn't an incredible person. She was just so powerful, so strong, and so sure about a lot of things, very direct person. And I found it very intimidating. I still do some days. And but she was clear. And, my memory of this story and how I took it in, and how later, decades later, when I was on my own path and I was reflecting on the people who were the scouts, the frontier people who were leading me forward, which is what I'm attempting to do here. I remember that she was doing art. This is my memory of it. I'm sure she will have a chance to clarify someday. My memory of it was that she was doing these incredible art pieces. She was doing these paintings so vibrant, so full of color. She just started to create. She's always been creative in her thinking and how she could get people going, and projects and things that she could really make things happen. She was really good that way. And thinking in a way I couldn't even conceptualize. Like, people have to fail on their own to learn and grow from it. Let them fall on their faces. That was so hard for me, to be in part of a group and let people do that. But it was powerful medicine. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if she wants this to happen, it will. And I remember seeing this. She still has the painting on her wall. And it's this pregnant belly, this woman with this goddess with this pregnant belly, and these babies around. And I'm sure there's more to this story. I think, and when I saw it, I thought babies of the past, or baby spirits that have been around or are around. And then that sort of deep desire or truth of knowing that there was a baby on the horizon, yet she's alone. And she did attract that partner, creative, deep community soul in her community. And they made this incredible baby. She was in her 40s also. And I just remember from the outside the ease of it. And over time, also being a fairly strong, independent woman who, was wanting that. It was that reminder that you can manifest things. Now, she was on her own. She attracted a partner, and then she had this baby. That doesn't mean that's your path. But the reminder here is that she went into this deep creating and allowing her vision to come through what she was doing in order to rein it in and bring it in and having it happen. It wasn't even, let's start fertility treatments and make ourselves go broke, or, remortgage or refinance our house, or whatever it is that's required, or go through a process that's very stressful. You know how I feel. And that may be your path. And if you find it in a peace way, fantastic. But she made it look easy. And I wanted to tell that piece of T's story because sometimes the impossible uh, makes things seem very far away. Now, another story I will tell a piece of might be one that you're familiar with if you've been listening to the podcast, maybe. There's a woman who had a family already, and the first time she got pregnant, let's call her Jay, it was easy. I want to get pregnant. Let's get pregnant. They got pregnant. It happened. And so when it was time for the second one, they felt like, okay, now we're ready for the second one, the assumption was that it would be as easy. The body knows what to do. It's done it before. They were still in that same country that they had been in when they had the other one. So similar, warm, wonderful environment. Incredible woman, creative woman. They were on the move a bit, and there was a lot of stress happening in the world, as we might know. And so there was more than one loss, and there was some darkness there. That feeling like it wasn't going to be possible, it wasn't going to happen, and we started to work together, friend and client, and very strangely decided, well, it felt strange, I think maybe for her, we decided to work on, what work she was creating and what felt like the direction she was feeling like they needed to go as a family. And it felt off center, right? To be not trying and doing. But as she started to explore into, learning and getting things in the flow and that creating, like there's always inside of a process of creating a business for Emma, my past is conscious business. There's pieces of you that are growing at the same time. It's impossible not to, like growing children or growing a business or growing your garden, whatever it might be, that are going to expand pieces of you. And as they do that, they're opening. I talked about that before, and it was this incredible moment of, Ariel, I'm pregnant, in the middle of it. It was seeming as if, well, you just never know how long the path is going to be. And I remember that tension for months when we saw each other longer, and that worry, going to the bathroom and hoping not to see anything. And now she's about to give birth. And I feel so deeply emotional about that. It's just, there's so much more to say, but we're, as I said, just doing a few minutes today. Last, I will say that a little over a week ago, I got an incredible mail from somebody who I had worked with on the other side of the United States, who was on her own, was doing the supported path on her own. She felt very clear on that. Had some fairly large obstacles, including, anxiety and overwhelm and some physical pieces as well. Some, I don't want to say dis-ease, but things that were, she was working with as far as health, and work was a big piece as well. There was so much to do all the time. I remember And we only did a handful of sessions, and it was strong. It was really strong work. And watching how, just as you start to kind of get in the flow, she would do these incredible creative things outside in nature. And then suddenly I would feel like the universe was like pulling at her, like, let's see, how can you hold on to this? Can you keep this center? And she would again, kind of get whirled up in all the things that she had to do. We all get these moments in daily life. And then our time finished, and she was working with, you know, how this can possibly work. And I remember just sort of stepping back and letting her find her own process. And then I recently got a mail saying that she gave birth to a beautiful girl. And I just started to cry because she she thanked me and brought me into that process. And I was just in awe because I know all the steps along the way and how frustrating it had been. And yet I know in that letting go, so much comes. And I can't wait to hear the rest of that story, which of course I'm going to share with you because it's incredible. So I'm just wondering, it says the chat's disconnected. What in the heck is going on there? Wow, I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know what's happening here. Live chat, learn more. Oh, shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, okay. I don't know what's happening. So if you are trying to chat, I'm just wondering how you're doing out there. Pop up chat. Let's see if that helps. Nope. Well, maybe. Let's see. So, if you have any questions now, I just wanted to throw out a couple of stories. I want to give you so many more details, but we're already at 17 after the hour, and I did promise my daughter that we would continue the Christmas day because it's Swedish Czech Christmas. Hmm. If this is interesting for you, please do like it. It helps other people find it. And I have an important announcement, which I can't wait to share with you. And I wish I could figure out why this darn thing is not possible. Let's see. Maybe the chat is working again. Thank you for liking. So I'm going to get you the details of these stories because I want you to find those pieces of yourself that are inside of stories so that you can feel led. I try to come up with and remind myself of the different pieces of my own story and the people's stories who come across my table because I know those specific details are very important. As I started to tell the story today, I realized that I wanted to check in about one thing, so I didn't give specifics on certain things. But the last woman, we'll call her C. Uh, I want to check in. That's important. Your privacy is important to me. However, you definitely come next week because I can't wait for my announcement. It's really exciting for me, really, really exciting. It came out of a session with somebody where I just had a big aha for you, and something new is on the way in 2022. And yeah, so I hear little footsteps. If you have any questions or comments, please pop them in there while you can. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye today. And oh, wow, suddenly there's people in the room. We were just talking about stories, inspired stories, and how important it is to lead each other, flash that flashlight or light the fire, in each other by sharing stories and sharing details. Now, I know as a very private person, it's sometimes challenging for me to give as many details because I feel that deep vulnerability. And yet it's through deep vulnerability that more intimacy comes. And I think ultimately in our friendships, in our circles, it's the thing that we crave. Now, not all circles is that a safe place. This is one of those, but some places that may not feel safe because vulnerability can be seen as a weakness in some areas. However, in this case, the more we share, the more people share with us, which is what I've explained in the past when I talk to my friends and I talk to people in my circle about my own losses, that suddenly they were sharing details of their own, which for decades they never had, at least to me. And I realized that it's in that opening that more opening comes. So Keep asking for that which you need, and it will come. It will keep coming. I will be here, and with my little jingle bell earrings. I'm not religious, but I love the decoration, the craziness, the beautifulness of the generosity of the holidays. Wherever you are in the world, whatever you are celebrating, whether it's just the coming of light with solstice, and or just going within yourself at this time of year. I encourage you to keep sharing stories so you hear the stories that you need to keep moving forward and, keep seeing the proof in the pudding. I wish you a beautiful day and holidays if you're celebrating anything. And I will see you next week at 10 o'clock Pacific. And if you have not already, in the description, there are some free things like 7 steps to midlife pregnancy and pregnancy after loss, and that's important for me to give to you, and that also gives me a chance to say hey to you face to face, or rather word to word, which I do, and I do answer mails and I do answer comments. So whatever you have for me, I'm here for you. Oh my gosh, the room fills up as soon as we're leaving. That's okay. It's been a beautiful morning. And I'm going to get back to my little world of cooking and creating and painting today, because I'm painting something for my mother. And whatever you aren't celebrating, I encourage you to celebrate that piece of yourself and your own soul that gets lit up when you do a particular thing, that defocusing and the doing, the creating, the allowing, the accepting. And if you're not clear on what that is, just take a few breaths at the end of this call today and see if you're reminded. And if not today, on another day, ask for the reminder of what brings you into that jing, that zzz, that the thing that creates your opening, that vibrates you differently to attract that which you deserve. What do we have here? Dr. Kavi MD. Hey, can we watch the replay? Absolutely, Dr. Kavi. Absolutely. And I hope to see you next week at 10 o'clock. And we will definitely, I will give you this announcement, which is pretty exciting. And do write me. Dr. Kavi, I'd be curious what your story is these days, if there's anything that it's important to you, or you here on the channel. You can always write me at ariel@imperfectparenting.net, because parenting midlife is incredibly imperfect because you're on your own path inside of the creating. And thank you for the likes, by the way. Very much appreciated. Warms my heart. So I will say goodbye and look forward to what's next and sharing more details as we go forward. And next week, have a beautiful week as the sun starts to get brighter and the light starts to come in, and we look towards the end of the year, when we start to reflect back on what has and hasn't happened and what's on your horizon in the future. I'm Coach Ariel Anderson, and I'll see you next week.